News Talk 1070 KHMO from the Hannibal LaGrange University studios. Knowledge for service at HLGU as we head for 12 minutes past 8 o'clock. And it is, of course, the 8:10 Tuesday spot. So that means that it is time for another spotlight shown on a local entity by the folks at the United Way of the Mark Twain area, and that means that Denise Dameron is here.
Good morning, Harold.
Good morning. Yes, I'm in the minority this morning. I'm the only one not. I've got my mask in my pocket, but we're doing fine the way we're doing here.
Absolutely.
You betcha. So who have you brought with you this morning?
So this morning we have an organization with us that is fairly kind of new to the area, I would still say, in terms of compared to perhaps the Douglases of the world.
Yeah.
But with us this morning, I have Shannon Von Allman, and Shannon is we could just say director, president, or we could say mastermind, because I think that would actually be the true statement, and really, kind of actually how the organization Birthday Blessings began was through Shannon's heart for service, heart for community, and ultimately heart for kids in foster care. So Shannon Von Allman is with us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. For those who do not know about Birthday Blessings, fill us in.
So we started in 2013 down in West Plains, Missouri, and we offer resource support to kids that are in Missouri's foster system. And we started out doing birthday party bags with cake supplies, party supplies, and gifts. And over the years, we've sort of morphed into being able to do things like COVID care packages, next step baskets for our kids transitioning to independent living, graduation gifts, loneliest child care packages, which are for kids that are in residential facilities that don't really have any kind of family connection or social ties. And we also meet special needs upon request. We're basically there to act as a filler for the gap between government funding, and the needs of the children.
Yeah, for the kids that fall through the cracks, and they are many along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you say this started in West Plains, Missouri. How did it wind up in Northeast Missouri?
So I kind of thought it was just going to be this little family project, and I was kind of embarrassed to tell people about it. But when I did, they started giving me money, and I realized that maybe we needed to get our 501c3 status and set up a board of directors. And as we've been able to, it's like God's just provided contacts in different communities where we've been able to kind of put down roots, and that was the case up here. I had a friend that was up here, and so through that was able to get connected with the Children's Division, and since then we've had General Mills support us, Continental Cement has supported us. This is the second year for the United Way of the Mark Twain area to support us, and so it's just been, as people find out about it, they want to get involved.
Yeah, how often does that happen? Somebody winds up with a passion that just gets completely out of control.
Exactly. I think all good things start like that.
Yeah.
So for certain.
Yeah. But of course, and we were talking before we started here. We did a whole other show before we even started.
You
here.
should probably have the record button on sometimes.
Yeah, probably something like that. Of course, Megan and I used to, we talk about anything we do before we were supposed to be on the air. We'll save it for the podcast. So, but you got to have the thing, got to be recording in order to do that.
Yes.
I say all of that to say that when you talked, Denise, about this being an organization that's near to your heart. You and I both have in common that we have both kids that we chose along the way.
Yes, absolutely. And I think about, the work of Birthday Blessings and how it ties into my own life story / my kiddos. And so I think about specifically my daughter when she was 9 years old, and I got to kind of quote choose her when I met her at church, and then ultimately she ended up becoming my, a foster child with the intention to adopt her. And that's what, we all lived happily ever after, and that happened with lots of bumps in the road. And they continue.
I understand.
There's a lot of curves ahead, but a lot of blind curves ahead. But nonetheless, I think about her moving into our house. And what kind of broke my heart when she moved in was she had no personal items in terms of toys. And I still have my blankie that was my blankie. And I'm like, Mom, thanks for keeping this. But I still have my blankie and my dolly from my childhood, that those were those items that were, quote, mine, and I was attached to. My daughter, as a 9-year-old girl, didn't have anything like that. She didn't even have she had one stuffed animal. I was like, oh, when did you get this? She's like, yesterday. And I'm like, oh, so it wasn't something of meaning and such to her life. And so our friends at Birthday Blessings do a great job to kind of equip kiddos with those items that can, of course, be meaningful. And then also, as we talked at our United Way office and with our allocation committee that determines which local organizations receive United Way funding, we talked a lot about dignity, and that Birthday Blessings provides dignity for kiddos in foster care, that they provide an opportunity for children to really, have the things that other kids have, because we talked about with our folks and our friends that work in school districts, like, is it easy to spot a child that's in foster care? Unfortunately, sometimes yes, by how they're dressed, by the lack of necessary supplies they have. And so our friends at Birthday Blessings are filling that gap, filling the holes, and just doing a beautiful job to make certain that there's some equality, perhaps, spread across to kiddos. And we just admire Shannon and the work she does for kids in our community so very much.
Yeah. These kids, especially as they get older and continue to be in the foster care system, and as Denise alluded to, these kids go from one place to another. They don't have a suitcase. They got everything in a trash bag.
Right. And so that was actually one of our first missions when we first started. We gave everything out in giant paper sacks. And so as soon as we were able, we transitioned to duffel bags so that they could have that dignity. Because what we found was most of the times when they came into care, they had nothing due to either drugs in the home or roach infestation, so many unfortunate circumstances. But if they did have things, it was just like you see in the memes, a kid dragging a black trash bag around, and just the negative social messaging for that was heartbreaking to us. And so that was one of our first goals. So while we are sort of branded as a birthday party ministry, we use it to meet needs of the children. So we give out a lot of duffel bags, backpacks, school supplies, art therapy supplies, bedding. Kids at our residential facilities, some of them don't actually have pillows. They just have raised spots on their mattresses. So we might get a call from CASA, and CASA will say, hey, I've got a kid that doesn't have a pillow, and we will provide the pillow and a pillowcase. So basically, we just want our kids to have some sense of normalcy and feel some value.
Mm-hmm. Now, you talked about, you used the word ministry. Do you consider yourself to be a faith-based organization?
We are. Actually, if you look at our logo, it says Matthew 25:40 underneath it. The King said, truly I say to you, anything you do for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you also do for me.
Sure.
And so for us, this is just part of what God wants us to do, is responsible community, to love on these kids, because they feel like they have nobody. They just feel like cast-offs, and we as a society need to do better.
Yeah. And of course, as with each organization comes through here every week, a key part of being able to do what you do comes with the help of the United Way.
Absolutely. We are so blessed to have them supporting us. We're going to be able to do a lot with their donations. We were talking earlier, like these next step kits that we've just been able to start through their help. Also, COVID care packages for our kids in foster care. The pandemic has been especially hard on them because visits with biological families were suspended. Advocates weren't able to go and check on them in person, and so it's just been a really difficult time. And with their assistance, we were able to put together these little bags that had some fun activities, but also
like water guns, water balloons.
Right. So we really wanted to give them something fun, but also encourage some social interaction. So, cookie baking kits, stuff like that, and we were just able to provide those for the counties here through their assistance. So we're very fortunate to have them on board.
If folks would like more information about Birthday Blessings, how can they get that?
They can call me at 417-372-5306, or we have a website, which is birthday-blessings.org. They can email us through that, or on our Facebook page, they can message us.
And if folks want more information about the work of the United Way,
as always, give us a call, 573-221-2761. Visit us online, UnitedWayMTA.org, or visit us on Facebook, United Way of the Mark Twain Area.
And they can look for your podcast there, too.
Absolutely. And we'll actually have one airing this week with our friends at Birthday Blessings. Shannon.
Very good. All right. Denise Dameron, Shannon Van Almen with us this morning as we stand at 8:21 from News Talk 1070 KHMO. Back after these.